Today, we're going to use GolfSwings.AI to finally cure that slice. With me, I've got golf coach to the stars, Dion Kipping. G'day, Dion.
To the stars, all that.
Well, Dion's actually going to do some demonstrations today. That's why we've got him standing out there.
Right, let's get into it.
Let's get into the first movement. So our first one is actually the easiest one to fix. This is a setup movement, and it's setting up with incorrect shoulder tilt. Okay, Dion, do you want to explain shoulder tilt to everyone out there?
Yeah, look, if you stand with your shoulders level, that's basically zero. And when you're tilting forward, we're into the negative, and when we're tilting this way, we're into the positive. And what it's flagging is that if you get too much positive tilt to your shoulders, is a major contributor to slicing, which I find incredibly you can fix this at address. Now, have you got some optimal ranges there for me, Dave?
I do. So if I'm just looking at the app here, I've got an amateur golfer that's setting up with too much spine tilt compared to
shoulder tilt, but it does correspond to spine tilt.
Too much shoulder tilt. And on the left we've got Jimenez there, who's setting up in the optimal range. So if I look at the optimal ranges, you can set up between -1 and 10 degrees and be in that optimal range. So Dion there is demonstrating.
Yeah, and I think the thing about this is they are on a tilt, right? So you do want a tilt, okay? You just don't want to have too much, okay? And what's the amateur got there? It's
the amateur's sitting at nearly 20%, so 19.62, so well and truly outside the optimal range.
So he's got lots of tilt. Now, what does this do, right? Well, as soon as you get too much shoulder tilt, when you're addressing the ball, what it usually leads to is a balance issue. You start to drag a club inside. And what happens when you drag a club inside? You actually do the opposite and you put it outside on the way down, and there is your glancing blow. So by setting up with too much tilt early here in the shoulders, you're creating an inside-outside kind of pattern. And for most people, that then leads to keeping the face open. Round she goes, there's your nasty slice. So a simple, fix to this, and this is the great thing.
Here's the fix. Well, we're up to the fix. It's
some of the fix, and they're in the app. You've got several fixes to this, but I'm going to give you two. Here's a real simple one. An old coach gave this to me, and I just love it. Stand tall, put the club on your sternum, put it on your belt buckle, and then bend a little bit forward, then rock. Look, hit your legs. Job's done. There's a perfect 10-degree basic tilt. It's incredible that works, but it actually does, right? That's it. That's your move, okay? The other one that I give a lot of my students who are setting up, obviously you need to trail hand higher than your lead hand when you're grabbing the club. So usually just clap your hands so they're level, and then slide the trail hand down until you hit the webbing of the lead hand. Now, the beauty about that move is it kind of gives you a gauge when you're holding the club, okay? So there's two ways. Pieces of cake to do, has immediate fixes to your balance on your takeaway, because without that much shoulder tilt, okay, so you get your proper shoulder tilt, there's the arm starting to come away on a neutral plane. Too much shoulder tilt, there they go, inside, over the top. That's fix number one.
Okay, fix number two, or problem number two, is hip sway. So this is obviously a common issue with amateur golfers. So I'm just gonna play a video here of an amateur golfer. This is someone that was flagged in our system as having too much hip sway. So as the golfer sets up and they start their backswing, you can see that their back hip moves away from the target. So instead of turning around that hip, they're swaying. So Dion, over to you.
Yeah, well, look, if you keep looking at the picture, I'll luckily just keep toggling back and forward here. If you look at the pose estimation lines that GolfSwings.AI puts on your body, you'll notice that the trail shin and trail quad, the angles there get over the back foot. Now, why is that an issue? I'll tell you why. If you come back and have a look now to me, once the trail leg gets over the trail foot, guess what? I can stand on one leg, which means I can't push forward, okay? I've got no way to use the ground force, okay? So all that does when you get to the top of the swing, it starts a rotational move, because it's a spinning move pushing nowhere, but if you go forward, you can rotate and have your lateral move. So for me, such a big one, not getting that back leg over here, which is what the lateral sway on the machine highlights. Don't get it over there. So how do we fix it? Again, piece of cake fix this. Jason Day showed me this. There's the grip of the club. Chuck it on the ground. Right? Put your foot, the trail foot, on it on an internal angle. Okay, once it's on an internal angle, you can then make your backswing. But guess what? If you accidentally get lateral sway in the hips, watch my foot. You're going to do yourself a mischief. You're going to roll your ankle. So that's a real indicator. Oh, I've moved laterally. Shit, I just don't want to do that, okay? There's the internal flex. keep it internally flexed, and all of a sudden the hips start to rotate more on the spot, so you're in a position to push, to drive, to use the ground force on the transition. So grip on the ground, stand on, internal flex and turn, fixed.
Just going to show Justin Rose, who is the best pro we've measured for turning around his hip rather than swaying. So you can see there's just no hip movement at all away, and then he pushes through.
The thing about Justin too, like I was on tour a lot with Justin. I wasn't on tour, but I was with Justin on tour. And what that means is I was in the nightclubs and bars when he was missing cuts. And we were really quite good friends. And one of the big things Justin worked on was having such an efficient backswing so that he could optimize his downswing. Now, we still see to this day him doing downswing moves because that's his big problem with his chest. But he gets himself in such a wonderful position by this pivot that he's only down to one little thing he works on, which is his downswing move. So yeah, great to see Juzzy got such a great pivot by the machine's rankings.
The other great pivoter is an amateur golfer, a famous one, won the 2005 World Series of Poker. Dion coaches him, Joe Hasham.
Yeah, look, Joey, if you're watching this, bloody bravo to you, because he's the first to admit that his pivot was horrendous. He was a serial blocker off of the hips. This hip used to get traveling outside his back hip, and then he'd get stuck. And he was on TrackMan all the time with glancing blows. That club path was always out to win. Well, he's worked real hard. He's now pivoting beautifully around the trail leg. He's transitioning his weight, and he's coming from inside the fly of the ball, and it's been a credit to him, but he'll be pumped to hear that he's in the top.
Well, I know that he plays golf for big money, so that's his secret weapon.
Good on you, Joey.
You're helping him. All right, on to the final movement here, and this is kind of related. This is your lead shin angle at impact, and it's not getting your weight forward enough. So if I demonstrate the amateur golfer here making a swing, you can see that at impact their shin is pretty straight, facing a little bit away from the target. And Dion, you might want to talk a little bit more about that.
Just keep toggling there if you can, and you'll see the back foot as well, right? So I always look at cause and effect. So if you look at the front leg, which is what AI has flagged as one of the biggest issues for slicers, it's very neutral, right? It doesn't get obviously in a forward press there, but basically he's on 2 feet, which means he's flat-footed. Now, Donan goes into the optimal ranges here, and he'll let me know what that is, but I know it's in a positive flex, right? Because once you get into a positive flex on that lead shin, you've transitioned some of your weight, okay? What does that do? That allows the club to fall a little bit more in the downswing rather than move out in the downswing, which is that serial cut swing. So what is the optimal for the front shin there, Dave?
Yeah, I've just used the app to filter to that exact movement so that we can see. So you can see the amateur golfer on the right. You can see the professional that has some forward angle on their shin. So the optimal range is actually between 3 and 10 degrees. So that's quite a lot of I guess, forward bend of that shin angle.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because in 30 years in this game, I reckon I've seen a handful, literally 4 or 5 people that have ever had too much, let's call it, movement in that lower body to get forward. Most people are always spinning on the spot and getting flat-footed. So whilst people get nervous about moving laterally, it's a major reason that people become good at this game and stop slicing. So to see that needs to be on 3 to up to 10 degree forward tilt is brilliant, because I can't be strong enough on this. You've got to get onto that front leg, okay? So fixes for this, how do we do that? Another easy tip, get your golf club, chuck it on the ground, okay? Take your stance, and you'll notice that basically the belt buckle is over the steel shaft, okay? So if we get in our optimal range of the dress, that buckle will probably move a little bit ahead of the club shaft. But when we make our backswing, you notice the buckle turns behind it. Now, I haven't moved laterally, I've just turned, but yes, it's behind it. Now, this belt buckle, can't stress this enough, has to get over the front foot. We have to get it moving over the front foot, okay? So it's a really great way to think about, okay, my belt buckle starts in the middle of my stance, but it's got to go forward. Regardless of what sort of rotation you've got, it's got to go forward. And that puts the shin on a 3 degree to 10 degree angle and into the optimal range. But moreover, what does it do to your swing? It allows the arms to fall, right? It stops chest rotation, right? Which leads to the dreaded cut, or occasionally the hook if you want to use your hands. But 9 times out of 10, it's the big cut. So we've got to get across to that side. So get your belt buckle over your lead foot.
And does that help with compression, Dan? We talk a lot about compression and ball flight with pros. Is that something that will help that?
Enormously. I'm going to do 2 swings here. I'm going to do one that has these 3 faults and one that has these 3 fixes. And you'll just see the difference, or you'll hear the difference in compression, but you'll also see the difference in compression because you'll see me swipe across it. So here's the faults. Big shoulder tilt, okay? Now I'm going to move off the ball. Okay, well now I'm in real trouble because I've got so far to move to get that belt buckle over my front leg, which is nearly impossible from here. So normally rotation kicks in and across the ball we go. So that looks like this, shoulders, inside, move, on the back foot. You can almost hear it's like a chip shot, right? It sort of slides under the ball. Now, I know I swung softly there, but point is it's a glancing blow. The opposite to those 3 things, and they're actually keys in my golf swing, is make sure that I set up with just a little bit of tilt, okay? I don't want too much, but I certainly don't want any, okay? So set up in the optimal range, that's 7 degrees of tilt. Get it this way if you want, that's okay. Into that, now don't sway, don't sway. Use your trail leg to turn around it. I love that, that's one of the biggest keys for me. I used to be a serial swayer. So turn around the trail leg and then get moving. Get the lower body over the front foot, regardless of how supple you are. Now, I'm nowhere near as supple as I used to be, so for me, it's just get forward. I used to try to get forward and spin, but now it's just get forward. So what that looks like, a little bit of shoulder tilt, turn around the back leg, get forward, and there's the compression, right? You can hear the squish and it just comes out a lot stronger, but more importantly, for you playing along at home, it's not a glancing blow with an open face. It's into the back of the ball with a square face, killing your slice.
Now we did promise we're going to give you a bonus code at the end of this video. So it's coming up on screen now. If you enter that when you download the app, you can test these movements yourself. You've got 3 months free.
Yeah, and honestly, you're mad not doing it. I would have given anything from when I was trying to learn this game, just to have some fundamental facts. And this isn't telling you how to swing it. It's giving you a zone, a rough gauge of optimal ranges. And I just love it because of that, because it's not telling someone how, it's just telling them you need and should be into this zone. And I just love it for that. So get on board, try it yourself. I think you'll be amazed and you'll find hopefully find some cures in there as well, Dave.
Hopefully we have cured your life.
Till next time.